Brad.
Joseph.
We're here in the studio.
In the Studioverse.
Storagio.
I like it.
Yeah. We're just... our neighbor was visiting their storage unit, so that was fun.
It was fun and loud. They sure were packing or unpacking.
We are talking about not a movie this week, but multiple movies and TV shows, and just what we've been watching and doing lately.
It's just what we're up to.
It's a Paradizo Boys What You Been Up To podcast.
A nice little catch up, if you will.
We don't have to watch any of these genre movies anymore. We're just talking about what we've been watching. Brad, what's then you've been watching lately?
I've been watching. I was telling you I saw the most recent Spider-Verse film.
That's what a coincidence, Brad, because I have also seen the most recent Spider-Verse film.
That's an incredible coincidence.
Yeah. It's almost like it's a popular movie and people see it in theaters.
It's insane. Yeah. People see movies in theaters.
Ooh,
wild
can you
concept.
imagine? What were your thoughts on throughout? What is it? Across the Spider-Verse.
I do that all the time. I'm going to do it at least 4 times on this episode. I really liked it a lot. I was like, oh, it's going to be the sequel, so it has potential to be better. It has potential to be worse.
Yeah.
I, for some reason, thought it would be worse just because I was like, the first one was really good.
Yeah.
So it was like kind of hard to live up to.
Yeah.
But I thought it did exactly that. I thought it lived up to it.
Did you like it better, or did you like it just as much?
I'd have to see it a couple more times to really know it, because I haven't gone back and rewatched the first Spider-Verse, really. I think I've did it once, but it's been a while.
I'm seeing people say it's the best comic book movie. Seeing people say it's the best Spider-Man movie. It's the best, animated movie. So it is, it's a tough one, because I did really enjoy it, but I enjoy the Spider-Man multiverse stuff, but also that's not what Spider-Man is.
Yeah.
Spider-Man's not a multiverse guy.
Yeah, it's hard to... People who are saying it's the best one, I'm just kind of like, is it the best because it has like the most? Like, there's just so much.
There's too many Spider-Mans.
It happens.
Yeah.
And especially on Broadway.
Ooh, boy. I saw some people saying they should have had Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark.
Do you know anything about that musical? You've seen...
I saw Spider-Man Turn
Oh my
Off the
God,
Dark.
please tell me about it.
I don't remember anything about it because I saw it when I was a kid. But I do remember I was upset that the Sinister Six, like, I think half of them weren't even real comic book characters. There was like a lady called like the Lady Scissors or something like that. She just, or something like that. And it was and then Carnage was one of them. And I was really mad that like they have Carnage but not Venom.
Oh, that's annoying.
And Green Goblin, he had like this weird costume. I don't know. I didn't enjoy it as a kid.
Oh, okay.
But I like Spider-Man stuff, so I just liked that there was a Spider-Man thing.
Yeah. Do you know anything about like the controversies and stuff behind it?
Just all the broken bones and the injuries and
broken bones, injuries. Like George Santos claims he like helped fund it.
Did he really?
That's a real claim that a politician recently made, that he helped produce Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark, one of Broadway's biggest disasters.
Oh boy. That was it sucked to be claiming to be the financier for that one.
That's the thing. I'm like, why would you claim that now?
Yeah.
What do you have to gain from that?
At least Hamilton,
Right, at the very least. Oh my gosh. Yeah, when I heard that a few months ago, I burst laughing out loud.
Didn't Bono write all the music for it?
Bono and The Edge did all of the music for it. That's I believe.
Weird.
And then right. And then the lady who did like I don't know if set design's the proper term. She was more like a costume designer for the Broadway version of The Lion King. Also did Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark.
Yeah.
And I believe they kept a lot of her like designs and whatever, but they at some point did like tell her to fuck off, because I don't remember the exact details, but I want to say it was like her being like too much, like just too much like creative control. Like, no, we can't do that, when it's like, hey, we pay the bills. So probably just overstepping, maybe. Yeah.
But anyways, back to Spider-Verse. I did really enjoy it. I thought it was really funny. Mm-hmm. It was very emotional, very sad at times. It really, as to quote Guillermo del Toro, animation is cinema or something like that. I think he said that when he won an Oscar for
And
Pinocchio.
Harry Styles once said it's like a real
It's like a
movie.
go to the movie. You go to the movie and you watch it and you.
I watched that video and felt myself getting dumber.
Yeah, that was. Someone needs to stop letting him do things.
I was like, not every movie needs press. Like, look at The Flash.
Oh boy, that's right. Flash coming out on Friday. Yeah, if you want to hear our thoughts on it, come back in 4 months. The Spider-Verse. I did really like the Donald Glover cameo. That was like my favorite part of the movie.
Hilarious. I thought that was so brilliant that they finally brought that.
But now I've seen like 10,000 TikToks explaining the history of Donald Glover and Miles Morales and it is interesting, but it's also like everybody like has made that point now. So
yeah, it's kind of like common knowledge at this point.
Yeah. Okay, another side tangent. I hate discourse like after movies where it's just everyone's just telling you the same exact fucking story about like, oh, the Safdie brothers, they tried to make this movie 10 years and then they finally cast Adam Sandler. And it's like, yeah, everybody has fucking told that story before. Like,
right, tell something new.
Yeah.
What took them 10 years? Why did it take 10 years?
Yeah. But anyways, great movie. Spider-Verse. Is it a recommend?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. I feel like it's over just as a movie itself, not even the fact that it's part of a franchise, it's part of IP.
Yeah.
It's just as a movie by itself, it was just really good.
Yeah, I've been seeing people say it's the best multiverse movie.
Ooh.
I still haven't seen Everything Everywhere All at Once, so I don't know about that one.
Oh, that's a really good movie.
But I mean, that's the thing is with the Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire, it's like that's just for fun because hey, let's have Tobey Maguire in this movie. Whereas this one, the plot was about the multiverse.
Absolutely, I would say, yeah, No Way Home, because they did have Tobey and Andrew. It was a bit more like nostalgic, like heartstrings. Like I would say out of all of them, the Spider-Man movies, that one probably has my vote. But for those reasons, I'm a nostalgic person.
Okay, that was your favorite.
Of the Tom Holland movies, yeah.
Okay. I don't know. I liked Far From Home a lot. I like the Mysterio plot, and I like that they're in Europe.
Yeah, it was cool to see Mysterio on screen. That was something that I felt was, I don't know if it was overdue, just because I don't know if the effects and Raimi would have lived up to it, but
well, yeah, that was the abandoned
Bruce Campbell.
Yeah.
Okay,
I can't. All these. I'm being the TikTok guys who have these movie facts.
I was gonna say he said on a movie podcast.
Yeah. Oh fuck. Oh no!
Throw the whole channel away.
Yeah. I'm turning into what I hate.
It's okay. Sometimes people forget facts and they're fun.
Yeah. That is a fun fact.
It is.
I don't think that many people know that Bruce Campbell was going to play Mysterio in Spider-Man 4.
Yeah, I don't think. To be fair, I don't think not a lot of people know who Bruce Campbell is.
Yeah.
People who should know who Bruce Campbell is know. Yeah. But they don't identify Bruce Campbell the same way they would identify like a Chris Evans.
Right. Yeah. He's Metro Detroit native, Bruce Campbell.
That's true. Comes back quite frequently. Does talks and interviews. And
whatnot. Have you met him?
I've not.
Okay. I feel like you've met like a lot of like Bruce Campbell level people.
I would say so.
Yeah. You met Kevin Smith?
I have met Kevin Smith. Yeah, he was an absolute delight.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was like everything you see on like screen or in interviews and shit. That's 100% how he is. Yeah. Super nice dude.
Yeah. I don't know, anything else about Spider-Verse, or should we move on?
Oh, Spider-Verse is great. I knew it was like a two-parter.
Yeah.
But I also forgot at one point they like.
You didn't think it was going to stop right at like a cliffhanger.
Exactly. It kind of like blue-balled me. I was kind of like, oh yeah, that's right.
It was a good twist that like the Miles in the other universe, and I really didn't see, like I never read the Miles Morales comics, but I was like, I know about them. But I didn't see the twist of like the multiverse spider, and that spider caused there not to be a Spider-Man in this universe, and that like now everyone's evil in this universe, and
that stuff was over my head before this movie.
Yeah, so that was a really great twist. The Spot, I thought he was like a fun villain. He was one of my favorite villains from the cartoon. So
that was Jason Schwartzman. Yeah, great, funny, hilarious Great actor
man.
Scientologist.
Is he a Scientologist?
That's what I hear. I've never looked into it.
I thought he was Jewish.
Why not both?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I really don't know what else to say about this movie. I feel like everyone's already talked this movie to death.
True.
Yeah.
How do you feel about cliffhangers?
I'm a big fan because I feel like we don't get them enough anymore, and all the big ones have been spoiled for me, obviously, because I'm a young boy, and
The internet.
yeah, because like Planet of the Apes, obviously, you know what happens to what's it called, Empire. You know what's going to happen after Empire. You know about the twist of Luke and whatever. So yeah, I feel like we don't get enough like good cliffhangers anymore.
That's true. The most like recent one with a cliffhanger, or that's more of a plot twist than a cliffhanger. I was about to say Seven with what's in the box, but that's not really a cliffhanger.
Yeah,
that's
I
more
guess
of
I
like
was talking about plot twists too. I can't even think of a cliffhanger aside from Empire Strikes Back. Like I know the Harry Potter movies have like cliffhangers, but like if you read the books or if you're just like aware of like Harry Potter in the like the zeitgeist, then
cliffhangers I feel like nowadays are more like in like season finales of shows.
Yeah,
like I think that's where it's more prominent, and I can't think of a movie that I've seen with a cliffhanger that didn't turn out to be a franchise.
Yeah, like same thing with I saw people comparing it to the Dune cliffhanger. But that's also like that's a franchise. Like if you know the books, which I don't, but if you know the books, you know what's going to happen.
Did you see Dune?
I did not.
Here's what's funny. I watched it like on HBO back when it was back in my day. It was HBO Max.
Back in the day.
And I did watch it. I could not tell you a single thing about it.
Okay,
that's just one of those movies for me. Pretty much, and it's like, oh, Timothée Chalamet, he's non-threatening to watch.
Yeah.
Everyone else is like, oh, it's Dave Bautista and big
that's
giant
why
Skarsgårds.
I didn't watch it because I wanted to see it in IMAX, and I think it was during COVID. It was just after COVID, but I still wasn't really like going out much during that time, and so I just never got around to seeing it in IMAX, and I didn't want to watch it on HBO. So I'm waiting to see if they're going to re-release it in IMAX to see it.
Gotcha. I feel like they would. At least somebody would.
Someone would. AMC or Imagine, one of them.
Yeah. I like I said, I don't remember much of it, but I didn't dislike it. I wasn't like bored or anything. It's just it's a long sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
So that in itself is already kind of a intellectual and emotional investment.
Yeah.
Just kind of like, okay, it's not quite a chore, but it could be compared to.
Yeah. So, have you watched any other movies lately?
Any other movies?
I watched a movie if you want to.
Yeah, what do you got?
I saw a movie starring Sebastian Maniscalco and Robert De Niro in About My Father.
About My Father.
Have you seen or heard or?
I feel like I've heard of it. Refresh me real quick.
It's a silly comedy. Sebastian Maniscalco plays himself, and Robert De Niro plays his father, and he's like a crazy Italian old man.
Oh,
and like they're going. It's just Meet the Fockers, but like Italian dad. It's fine. It's like fun, like comedy, silly, like rom-com, I guess, but also like. Are you a fan of Sebastian Maniscalco at all or no?
I'll be honest, I can't think of his face.
He's just a talent. He's a comedian. He's a stand-up.
I was saying, I'm sure the second I see him, I'm sure I'd recognize him.
And he just does like Italian, like, hey, I'm Italian. Like he just does. That's it, and it's funny, and like people like him.
Gotcha. And he's playing himself. You said
he's playing himself, and it's the story of like when he first met his wife's family. And obviously it's fictionalized,
right?
But Robert De Niro plays his dad, and they go to his wife. She like comes from an affluent, like just regular white people family, and they're like, oh, like this is such a different culture for us. Like we're Italians, like we work hard and blah blah blah. And it's I'm like, you guys really aren't that different in culture wise. Like it's just like you guys are just different types of white. Like it's not.
As a white person, that's 100% fair.
Yeah. No, but I mean, Italians, they do have like their own like thing, but
they're one of the few like sort of branches of white people that actually do celebrate their like roots.
Yeah, their heritage.
Whereas me, like I'm super English, super Irish. none of the food sounds good to me. So
yeah,
it's not quite as appealing of a thing to embrace.
But it's, it's just one of those. Here's the thing: is like a lot of like stand-ups I've been noticing over the past few years have been getting their own movies, and they're never like memorable. Like
not quite. No.
Like The Machine. Are you big on seeing The Machine?
I would like to watch it, but I have not yet.
Yeah, I've not seen it either. I'm interested in it, but I'm kind of over Bert Kreischer. He's kind of annoying.
I would like his shirt to be on, but that's only because I see myself whenever I see a bearded man with a shirt on.
Oh, Bradley.
It's kind of like I get enough of that.
Yeah, his laugh and just like I don't know, a lot of. If I turn on a podcast and Bert Kreischer's on it, I'm like, all right, I don't know how much of this I'm going to get through because he's just going to talk about how much he loves drinking and how much he's the best and how rich he is, and I'm just like, I don't want to listen to this.
That's very fair. The podcasts I listen to that are like hosted by comedians are pretty on the. They're not like not famous. They're just not quite to his level.
Okay, yeah.
So I don't know if I'll have to ever worry about that. Thankfully. Yeah. Unless it's like a random episode of Rogan, but even that, it's like it's got to be a pretty special guest for me to tune in.
Right. And then Joe Coy had a movie last year.
That's
called
right, Easter Sunday. Yeah.
Did you see that?
I did not, but I wanted to. I'm actually a Joe Coy fan. I really enjoy him.
I was interested, but the same thing. The only reason I saw this one was because I'm a pretty big fan of Sebastian, and I wanted to see like him and Robert De Niro, and it's like a big deal.
Yeah.
But the Joe Coy movie, I was just kind of like, I don't think it's necessary watching.
That was me too. I was like, any other plot line, I would probably be there, but like,
what was it about? Just he goes home for Easter, and just like him and his family, and they're like a crazy Pacific family, whatever.
I believe Filipino,
yeah.
And I think it just kind of leans into that. It's like, oh, here's a look into Filipino holidays, which is 100% welcome. We would, any stories like that, we need to see more of.
Yeah, sure.
But
I don't know. These movies just feel cheap. Like they don't feel like. Like, I feel like there needs to be, like, a director and, like, a good script for a lot of these movies if you want to get people to actually care about them, because they just feel like star power, just like, this is a famous comedian. He's telling us somewhat based on a true story about his life, and, and then they just kind of do, like, the act.
Yeah.
I've noted. Like, whatever their big, like, famous act is in their stand-up, that's just what the movie is.
Did you ever see King of Staten Island?
No, but that's another one.
It's exactly how you described it.
Yeah.
And, I like Pete Davidson. I've seen him live. I like Judd Apatow, like, Knocked Up, I think is probably my favorite work of his.
Uh-huh.
When I saw it, I was watching it and was kind of like, okay, yeah, this is clearly autobiographical.
Yeah.
But it's one of those movies that just kind of ends.
Okay.
Like, there's kind of a big like, oh, here he's gonna pursue this, and then it like kind of shows you like not even like the baby steps of him like changing his lifestyle or whatever. It just kind of like I don't even know what I'm talking about. It just felt like it just kind of ends without like any real resolution.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that. I'll say this, and then we can end this topic, because otherwise we keep talking about it for a while. But I will say these types of, plots do better, in my opinion, as a TV series, like Rami. Have you seen Rami? Master of None, and Aziz Ansari. Crashing, Pete Holmes, which we talked about.
Great, yeah.
I feel like those types of shows where it's about like, a young up and coming comedian who like he's trying to make it in a world works, but I know it's not always comedian, but it works better in a TV form than in like a movie.
Are you a Mulaney fan?
Are you going to ask about his sitcom?
I am.
Oh, I've never seen his sitcom, but I
have every episode on my external hard drive.
Do you actually?
I watched it like as it was airing.
Is it enjoyable, or do you just watch it because you're a fan?
More so the second part.
Yeah.
But I like most sitcoms. Like a lot of the sitcoms I would love to pick apart.
Yeah.
Are like didn't even make it to 10 episodes.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't even make a podcast series about them.
Yeah.
Like it would be like one episode deal. And that's just one of them. There's one episode in particular that I really liked where he was given, I believe it was some kind of like mushroom tea.
Okay.
Like without his consent or knowledge.
Okay.
Which like in retrospect kind of fucked up, but it's how like the episode ends, so like who cares?
Okay.
But it was very interesting. It very much wanted to be Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Not that that's what Mulaney was going for, because he was. Yeah, there are people higher than him that had influences in it. So any of its failure, I wouldn't necessarily pin on him or the cast or anything like that. It just kind of wasn't.
But that's more like sitcom, like network sitcom.
Yeah.
Whereas something like Rami is like, you wouldn't have been able to like make Rami like in the early 2000s. You know?
No.
Not just because it's about like, you know, Muslim American, but just because a lot of the tones and like a lot of like the way it's shot and the storylines, I think that wouldn't be able to.
No, that wasn't as like sought after back then. I feel like I think back then it was just like entertain me now. Yeah. Like I think with programming on like HBO and stuff like that, I think that was kind of the start of like.
I mean, Curb Your Enthusiasm, I think definitely started that kind of wave of like, let's make like good comedy sitcoms that aren't just laugh track, apartment, like, you know.
100%. It definitely broke a mold of sorts.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about something else before we go off on way too far into this tangent. The other stuff that's come out lately, we were talking before the show about Succession. We both watched season 4 of Succession.
Big Succession. You've not seen the very, very last episode.
But I know sort of what happens. I'm aware that they get taken over, and I'm aware that Tom becomes CEO or something. Don't tell me. No, but Succession's great.
It's great. You've seen all of it, I'm assuming. Something about Succession that I really appreciate, I like this with any sort of media, TV, movie, even a podcast or anything like that. It's very quotable. Yeah. Like some of the dialogue in it is absolutely fucking nutty.
Yeah. I mean, that's, I think that's why a lot of people kind of flocked to it in the first place, was because it was like, this show about like this family, and like everybody like wears nice clothes, and it's like a very rich looking show, and everyone swears, and that's like, it's cool now to swear.
It's so cool to swear.
Yeah. And the characters are funny, and they say funny, mean things to each other. It's basically adult Arrested Development.
It actually is. Yeah. I never quite looked at it that way. It's like kind of more grounded in reality, I would say. Yeah. But it's also kind of like the Blues were real estate people who also gave money to Saddam Hussein, whereas Succession, it's more like pretty much Rupert Murdoch. Yeah. And his children.
They've said that's like the inspiration for it. Yeah, I first like came across it because I was a fan of Adam McKay, and I know he produces it and directed the first episode. And because The Big Short is like one of my favorite movies. Have you seen The Big Short?
I have. It's been a while. Admittedly, when I watched it, I didn't retain a lot of the information because I was like, I don't know
what most people feel about it.
But it's a movie I like respect. Like I would rewatch it.
It's one of my favorite movies, and Jeremy Strong is in that, and Adam McKay directed. And so in watching the first episode, I was like, this does feel like The Big Short, but like a TV show, and not like the plot wise, but just like the way it's shot and the way the characters talk and act, and I was a big fan of that, and it's just a good show and good characters.
Do you remember that in the pilot, Kendall actually had a wife and child?
No, not Kendall.
It wasn't Kendall. No, not Kendall. Roman. Yeah. I always want to call Roman Kendall because his name's Kieran.
Okay.
But yeah, Roman had a wife and child. Yeah. We just have not heard from them since.
That is. I think they said they dropped it because they wanted to. This is another thing I saw on TikTok. They said they dropped it because they wanted to explore his sexuality or something, which they didn't really do.
He fucked just mostly one older woman.
No, because he had like a weird thing with his physical therapist. I remember
that does sound familiar,
in the early season, there's a scene where like his physical therapist is like stretching his legs, and Roman's kind of being like silly with him. And I remember thinking like, is he fucking his physical therapist? Like, is that supposed to be? Yeah. But then, I don't think they ever explicitly like show or say anything about that. I think Shiv says at one point like, people think Roman's fucking his physical therapist, but I don't know that it's ever proven or shown or said again.
Can't say it ever came up again.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah.
So Jeremy Strong's in The Big Short. I don't know if I've ever seen him in anything else besides Succession.
I've seen him in he was in this movie that came out last year called Armageddon Time, which it's with Anne
Sounds
Hathaway.
like a musical.
No, it's just about.
Definitely sounds like a musical. Anne Hathaway.
It's
Sign
about
me up.
It's based on like the director's. I forget who the director is. I really should know who it is, but it's based on the director's like childhood, and Jeremy Strong plays his dad, and Anne Hathaway plays his mom.
Okay,
and he befriends like it takes place like in the 80s, and he befriends this like little black boy, and it's like there's like tension, like racial tension or stuff. I don't know. It was a fine movie. Kind of forgettable, but
yeah, as most movies are.
That's what they say. Yeah, he's been in other stuff too. I just can't think of any. He was in The Gentleman, the Guy Ritchie film of 2019.
I know that a movie of that title came out recently.
Yeah, he was in that. He was in Lincoln, the Steven Spielberg picture.
Oh yes, Lincoln. That one I fell asleep through.
Yeah,
didn't see it in theaters, but
yeah, I had to watch it for school, so that's the only reason I saw it.
They made us watch Schindler's List in high school, which like I get, like it makes sense. I'm not saying it should not have happened, but it still seems like heavy.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I remember we saw The Boy in Striped Pajamas in middle school, and I was like, "Oh man, that was a rough."
Oh my god! I mean, we learned about all that in 6th grade.
Yeah,
that one I watched like on demand, and that was devastating.
Yeah, that was
I was
a tough
like,
one.
"Wow, I did not expect this movie."
Yeah,
I remember middle school. What did we watch? We watched Forrest Gump in my history class, and it seemed unnecessary to me.
Yeah.
My teacher was like a total ditz, so that's probably the reason why she was just kind of like, there's the scene where they're in Vietnam and then Fortunate Sons starts playing, and she's like explaining the lyrics to us like we don't hear them.
Yeah.
Like
I was going to say, does she relate to Forrest's character?
Oh my gosh, don't get me started on that woman.
Oh boy.
I could do a podcast on all the teachers I hated. But I was not a great student, so it's kind of like, well, whose fault is it really?
Yeah. But yeah, Succession. It's one of those shows. It's one of those shows everybody loves to talk about, and it's one of those good shows that people are talking about.
Yeah, it's just I was late to it, but I'm glad I got into it. I started watching it I watched the pilot on an airplane, and was like, oh, I'll have to watch more of this.
Like, oh, they said bad words on TV. I must investigate more.
I will say I like showed up for the like family drama of the whole Succession dynamic, but I stayed for Kendall's very like elder millennial like dialogue that he has.
Bro,
it's really tight.
Do this. It's fucking merger, bro.
It's lit. I just came down to say, yo,
it's fucking lit, guys.
It's like, who fucking talks like this?
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite parts of the show, is just seeing him try to be cool.
Yeah.
Or like him rapping.
L to the O. Yeah, I love the scene where like after him and Frank were fired, and then he's going to like meet with some like art startup, and he's holding a pair of sneakers and he's like showing them off to Frank, like Frank would care.
Right.
He's like, "Yo, these are sick."
just never. Kendall's just obliviousness, just always.
Yeah.
I just always found it entertaining. I'm like, he just has a lack of self-awareness that is just too common, but also just like, man, the piece you must know.
Yeah. Yeah, Succession. It's a recommend.
Highly recommend.
Do check it out. Recommend. What? This is something I know you watched. Was season 3 of I Think You Should Leave.
Oh yes, big fan of fucking Tim Robinson. I Think You Should Leave.
He's another Metro Detroit native.
Absolutely superstar, in my opinion.
Superstar, Metro Detroit superstar. I haven't seen all of it, but I haven't seen all of the show. Like I watch the popular sketches on YouTube, and I'll usually watch like the first couple episodes of the show, but then usually I'll fall off. But
that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. this season, some people, I saw a couple tweets that were like, this season wasn't as good. I highly disagree. To me, they're all like,
they're all on par. Like that. Like
that's the thing. They're all
yeah.
Words are hard. They're just kind of in rhythm with each other. They rhyme almost.
Yeah. I mean, what I like about his sketches is like one day they are funny, but it's not like Key and Peele funny, or it's not like SNL funny where it's like a parody, or it's like it's funny because I hate like explaining jokes. It's so like I get really annoyed when people explain why things are funny. Yeah. But with this, it's like it's so abstract and like surreal, and for me at least, that's where the humor like comes from. It's like
100%.
It's like this would never happen in reality, and it's like so funny that someone thought we should make this a sketch.
Absolutely. To me, I describe it as like a comedian's like sketch comedy show, because it is so like unlike most of the things that we see on Netflix or on TV and all that. One of my like hang-ups about it, in a good way, hang-up, is that it is just, it's like you said, it's so like none of this would happen.
Yeah.
But then there's a little bit that's like you can see it happening though. You can see someone being that crazy.
Yeah.
At least that's my experience, because I've hung out in a lot of traffic, and sometimes I'm like, oh, that reminds me of that person every time I'm watching that show.
Yeah.
Or like working in customer service, you'll see like you may see a couple of the Tim Robinson like characters and
definitely.
People like that too.
Yeah. It's like all the characters are like modeled off, but then it's just like one of my favorite sketches is the one where he's dressed up like a hot dog and he breaks into a suit store so he can steal suits. Like, and then he starts like lecturing them about how they're watching too much porn and how everyone's on their phones, and then he tries to steal some suits. Yeah.
Yeah, that was like so fucking great.
Were they in the writer's room and they were just like, wouldn't it be funny if a guy in a hot dog suit broke into a suit store to steal suits
after crashing his hot dog car?
Yeah. And then tried to convince them that it wasn't his car.
Yeah, it's, oh my god, it's so fucking silly. I love it. There's a oh shit, I lost my train of thought. We were just talking about hot dogs. Before the hot dogs, we were talking about the porn thing. Yeah. There's a line in one of the episodes of the new season where the sketch itself has nothing to do with porn, but the very last line in the sketches, it's talking about like, oh, we shouldn't watch porn at work, and the very last line is Tim Robbins says, I think we should be able to watch a little porn at work. Just so fucking silly and outrageous.
Yeah. I mean, the one that like everybody, like the one where he's in the drive-thru, that's the one that I think everyone sort of latched on.
The 55 burgers, 55 fries, 155 tots.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Stand out.
I like, speaking of Jason Schwartzman, there was the one where he was like, oh, like if I say anything about my kids, just cut me off. Yeah. And then he's like trying to find purpose like in his life while like stopping him from talking about his kids.
Yeah, that one tickled me specifically just because there are those people exist. They're like, oh, stop me if I talk about my kids too much. When it's like, I'm not really gonna do that.
Yeah. And then he's like, I've become the most popular person in this party.
There's another one. I think it's in like the last episode or the second to last. It's Tim Meadows from SNL. Yeah. He's at like a wedding or something, and he's in a photo booth, and he doesn't like the props that he's getting in the photo booth, so he has like a shit fit about that. That's all I can remember at this moment. But I just remember it being like, that was probably my favorite.
Okay, I'll have to check that one out.
Yeah, highly recommend.
That's it's a good show. It's a good
Great show. Highly recommend. If you have not seen it, all 3 seasons is a 6-hour investment. That's all it takes.
6 hours.
15
It's all
minutes.
for free if you're paying for Netflix.
Yes, or if you're on someone else's Netflix like I am.
Then it is 100% for free. Or if you do want to watch really high quality sketches for free, you can check out Paradizo Films sketches. We have so many great sketches.
So many.
Brad, I think you were in one sketch.
I'm in at least 2.
You're in maybe 2 sketches.
I believe my face was blurred in one, so
yes, that's right.
Technically. Uncredited.
But I'm in most of or all of the sketches.
Yes.
So you can see, and Brad, you're gonna be in more sketches.
Oh yes, I can see it now.
Yes.
I'm gonna do great. I'm doing great actually. Depending on when you watch this, I did great.
Depending on when you watch this, Brad might be We might reshoot all our sketches with Brad in the lead role.
That's right, in 4K, baby.
Yeah.
Assuming we're not in 4K already. I'm assuming we're in 4K. I don't know what I'm talking about.
I don't know anything about cameras.
I don't either. I'm not as technologically smart as I used to be.
Ugh.
At work, they were like, "Oh, change your email template to HTML," and I'm like, "Excuse me?"
Ooh. You guys in the tough questions here. That's what we got ChatGPT for.
Right. I was like, "You're gonna have to do that for me." I'm gonna have to call IT.
All right, Brad. Do you have any other things you want to talk about, or should we?
End the writers' strike. Pay your writers so that I can watch content, and the content that I've been looking forward to doesn't get delayed any further.
So we don't have to watch The Flash. Ew.
I'm gonna watch The
Ezra
Flash.
Miller. Who's that?
Who is they?
Oh boy.
I'm going just for Michael Keaton.
Yeah, I'm going to because I have to.
That's the thing. I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm not gonna not see it.
Yeah.
Come on now.
All right. We'll see you next time.
See y'all.
Big peace.
Peace out.